Good night, YouTube. It says I am live. Who's tuning in? It's exactly 7 o'clock. Let me send out the bat signal. Oh, the bat signal's coming out. Yeah, people. Overdue for a live. How, well, waiting for people to join. Oh, I got one person. Hey. And my light is flickering. What am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? Okay, my light is flickering. All right, hopefully it stays with me during the live. I really do hope it stays with me. Tag somebody, let them jump in on this. This live should be interesting. Sending out my bat signals to my peoples. Because there's some people who they do support me, but they still don't do the notifications. So, meet people where they are. They want to support. I am happy for that support. 2 people so far. Anybody else joining? All right, I'm going to get started. I'm going to start with the 2 of you. And hopefully people will get the notification as we go. We're a minute after 7, and it is... it's been a minute since a live, people. I'm not even in an IGNUS shirt. I am tired. Let me see where this is going. I haven't configured for a minute. So good night, everyone. Welcome. It's been a minute since my last live. And since that last live, in fact, this week I hit a major milestone. I hit 1,000 subscribers. And I had my own little personal celebration. I had a little glass of wine because it was during the week. And I remember starting the channel and thinking, having 50 subscribers was huge, and it was huge. Then just as huge as 1,000 subscribers would be for me. Well, is for me right now. And I am at the point where I can almost be monetized. So let's do this. So tell your friends, tag somebody, share the live, let them know I'm getting this going. And it's going to be a short live tonight. So hopefully people do jump in before it ends. Because, I don't really get that much during the live. But I get a fair amount afterwards. So come on in, get your friends, get your family, even get your enemies if they're interested in compliance. Share the link. But it's not going to be long, but it's going to be packed. Now, typically when I begin my lives, or my longer content, I give a disclaimer. And this live is a bit different tonight. This update is all about me and my company, IGNUS Solutions Limited. And as the disclaimer bit, it does not represent any regulatory body or international standards setter. Now, typically I'd say without that out of the way, let's dive in. The last couple of months have been intense, literally. And I'm looking at my face in this camera and I'm like, yeah, I hope it doesn't look like I'm really out of it, but I'm tired. I just want to thank all of you who've joined me for the live and coming here. And if you're new, if you happen to be one of the new subscribers and new to me and new to IGNUS Solutions Limited, my name is Simone Martin. I am a lot of things. I've worked as a regulator and it's almost 22 years now. And to be specific, I identify as a non-conventional regulator. I've had a lot of amazing experiences in my career. And as I've gone through meeting and having conversations with other people, including other regulators, I realized that a lot of those experiences are unique to have for one person. I've also been a teacher on and off for more than 15 years now. And I also write. I write blogs, I write courses, I write musings on innovation and regulation and compliance and governance. I write my journal. I write a lot. And I've been told that it is my talent. And I kind of shunned away from that a few years back, but I've recognized, I appreciated the person who told me that and really, like, said what they thought about my writing. And I leaned into it fully. Now, all of that writing ties into a bit of what I'm going to be talking about tonight, but I'm going to get into that a little bit later. It's been an eventful past 2 to 3 months. And what you might have noticed about 3 months ago, I teased on some topics with polls and different engagements, whether here on YouTube, on the community space, or on my LinkedIn page for IGNUS Solutions. And then nothing happened. Radio silence. And what was happening in the background was a health issue. It was pretty scary. And I was pretty clueless as to what was happening. But the body has an amazing way of telling you when things are off balance. And off balance is a bit of an understatement. So what happened? It's about a month ago now, Sunday. I think Sunday coming would make a month. Sunday afternoon at the beach with some friends. And the day, if not for friends and being just chilling on a noodle, it would have probably ended with me drowning. I had some severe spasms and it was scary, but I think I didn't panic because I was among friends and they were able to get me back to shore. Now, of course, after that particular incident on the beach, there were a lot of doctor visits and x-rays and scans to figure out what was wrong. And simply put, without getting into too much personal detail, core misaligned. And you would think like, okay, that sounds intense, but I have a vertebrae that's not in alignment and it could get worse without intervention. And what that is doing is basically pulling on some nerves. So my whole nervous system had a shock to its system. It was not happy that Sunday and it was scary. I still have doctor appointments ahead of me and I'm already doing physical therapy to try and correct the issue without invasive procedures. Now, it still rocked me, but I'm kind of dealing with it now. I'm feeling much better, but I'm also paying attention to my body. Immediately after that, like the first 2 weeks, I was on some very strong prescription strength medication. And for a little while, that meant I was embracing the bed more than usual and a lot more than social media. So things are not quite as acute now. It has stabilized somewhat. So I'm at a place where I feel comfortable to do lives and plan and post stuff. However, I do have to be mindful of the situation. So I am pacing myself as best as possible. What else? Now, if you've been following me on LinkedIn, I'm looking for like a napkin because hot lights and it's like I don't expect to sweat. But if you've been following me on LinkedIn for a minute, you'd see personally that I'm still active, that I still post from time to time. That's kind of easy to do from bed or from, not too stressed or anything. And as it relates to IGNUS Solutions, it's not as easy to post because, those posts tend to be more intensive and focused and strategic. I do have a support team. I do have people behind there that do help from time to time. But the focus was making sure that I was not stressing myself too much or trying to overwork myself too much. I also had some other commitments that I saw through, including speaking at the BVI Association of Compliance Professionals and their annual conference about 2 weeks ago. And then last week, I was a conference manager for a government plenary/conference. It's in our local news. And if you pay attention to like the LinkedIn posts that I had and some other LinkedIn posts that I reposted during the latter part of last week, you'd figure out what it was. But it was essentially a government event with multiple governments that came into the BVI. And I was a conference manager for that. So, of course, there was a lot of planning prior to that. And that really took a bit of time, but it was successfully done and definitely happy about that. Making sure the BVI comes out in a positive light is always top of mind for me. So that happened. But let me get back to something I mentioned earlier, the writing and more writing. And I kind of find comfort in that as well. Now, I use the hashtag passion for compliance, and it's a real thing because if you've been on in my lives before, or if you've spoken to me for like more than 15 minutes about compliance, you will realize that that is not just a facade. That's a real thing. There's a passion there. But one of the things that I do from time to time is to jot down notes whenever I get the inspiration, and it can be on almost any topic. From quantum physics, I used to be really good at math in a former life. I might need to lean back into that, to compliance and regulation. And even quantum physics, I can circle that back around to compliance sometimes. Now, would that be translated into an article or blog? Probably not. That's probably just my little nerdy moment. But because of all of that writing, the rest of 2023 will make it seem that I'm busier than ever in the coming days, and especially in October into November. But not really, because that's because I've always been writing. So, what am I cluing you into? I'm actually looking forward to it. It's again leaning into my passion. And so I'll be doing some future trainings and online courses. And I'm happy to share that some of those will be offered soon in tandem with the local college here in the Virgin Islands. Make sure you check back the community page for updates, because I am going to post those there, the flyers from the institution there, on how you can register. The courses will be available virtually. I think that the prices that they're at are really very affordable for anybody within the Caribbean region or even around the world. Very topical. Of course, reach out if you have any questions, or reach out to the email address that will probably be in the flyer. But these will be live trainings, and almost all of them will be virtual with the exception of one, as it relates to the compliance focused topics. And what does that mean? So it means that you'll be able to attend, you'll be able to register, you'll be able to interact, you'll be able to get the materials afterwards. I've looked around at some of the compliance offerings around the world. I'm seeing compliance offerings like from $5,000, $2,000. It's definitely nowhere near that. So you'd definitely be able to afford it. But that is coming up. And what's also coming up is an engagement with the BVI Association of Compliance Officers, more locally and maybe even regionally. I don't know if that'll tap into regional networks, but several things came up, and what inspired it? I think it's always good to give a backstory. I've seen training initiatives being delivered by institutions from certain countries, and I won't call which ones. And I've had friends take some of those trainings and then provide me with the material, and come and ask me questions. And in reviewing the material and talking to them about what was delivered, there is a need for qualitative training. I think I can offer that. And I think part of my experience is to make regulation and compliance issues very easy to understand. I mentioned earlier about the recent conference held by the BVI Association of Compliance Officers. And that was the first compliance related event that IGNUS Solutions Limited was a sponsor for. And I was so happy for that. I was really proud to be able to be a sponsor. But there are a lot of initiatives that I would love to sponsor, but for revenue, because sponsorship takes money. Following the conference, I also held a masterclass for compliance professionals locally. And that was in person. It had excellent reviews. If you were there, leave a comment, let people know I'm not gaslighting them, and that, I can deliver. But for me personally, without anybody plugging me, I personally felt like I was on mission. And though I've said it in other spaces, I just want to say a huge thank you to the BVI Association of Compliance Officers for the opportunity. Because sometimes I find in the Caribbean region, and especially in the Caribbean, and as a Black woman, because I can't pass for white, I am a Black woman. I find that sometimes we don't lean into our own as much as we could. And that's a mind shift issue within the region. Some people might be kind of like, if you're watching live or if you're watching after, you might be clutching pearls right now. I'm a Scorpio. We don't sugarcoat shit. So that is just my take on the matter. I have lived enough life to have seen a lot of things. And I think that this is really where I am getting to pursue part of my whole passion for compliance and making sure that professionals, compliance professionals in particular, are empowered and feel like, they can competently address the issues. And I would like to say that that's a perfect segue to look out for future master classes with the association. I don't know if some of them will have a virtual element, hopefully. Hopefully, if you are in the British Virgin Islands or if you are in the Caribbean as a region, feel free to reach out to the executives of the different compliance associations and let them know what you would like to see have happening. You would see the band on my hand. That's just the hair tie, because after this, I'm going to bed. um, yeah, because this thing with my back issue, yeah, I've had to make sure that I've scheduled the rest well and make sure that I'm very well rested. Now on to other developments. I've teased in the past a few things and I've had to push those back as well. One of those being a podcast, which I was intending to start this month. Now, I have quite a few people to interview and people who have agreed to interview. I think it's safe to say their names right here. One name that I'll give is Alma Angati. She also speaks at the CRCA conference. That's how I met her. The first time I spoke at the CRCA conference, she was a speaker there. We didn't meet at that first conference where we were both speakers, but I was thoroughly impressed with her. And then, as luck would have it, a few years after that, she and I ended up speaking on a panel together after I was scheduled to be on the panel. Two other persons were supposed to be on the panel for me, and they dropped off and they asked Alma and I to do the panel discussion together. And it was like literally we flew in. This is the situation. Alma was like, sure. She was amazing. And we did a panel discussion, and it was I personally felt it was epic. Self praise is no praise. The conference organizers do rankings with their social media and everything else, and so the attendees had the same feedback, so it was really well received. And since then, we've been in contact with each other, not as much in the last few years. She had her own company, and that company was acquired or merged. And so now her compliance focused company has, it's on both sides of the pond. So she has offices in, I think, New York and London, and expanding even beyond that. She does amazing things. And I am not easily impressed, but Alma Angati is one of the people who constantly impresses me. So if you're in the, and that's kind of like a little segue, but if you have ever encountered her, feel free to do your due diligence on her. You don't have to listen to me in terms of Alma Angati, but there are other people that I would want to interview. And what a few people may not know is that I tried to start it last year, August. And one of the interviews, I did one interview. It was with US SEC Commissioner Hester Pierce. But as of today, I have not received the recording. And that was 1 year and almost 1 month ago. If it ever surfaces from the people who did the recording, I will post it, because that interview I felt was fire. And it was about regulate. If you know anything about the US SEC, and if you know anything about Commissioner Peirce, you would know that she had forward-looking views on regulation in the crypto space and design thinking and regulatory approaches in relation to fintech and more. It's one of the things that I didn't really know if to speak about, but it happened. It's the truth. You could feel free to do your due diligence and fact check it or whatever the case may be. I have the notes, but I don't have anything. Like, I had like the questions that I was going to ask her. We had a couple of preliminary meetings. It's one of the things that I guess happens when you're in this space. Sometimes, you have snafus. But I am going to be working on doing real podcasts, some with video, some without, and posting them. The podcast will be coming more towards December. That's where I'm aiming for now. So I've pushed it back to then. And I think with my developments, once things have stabilized, because I'm still, I'm doing work. I still have doctor visits ahead of me. I'm doing physical therapy. I'm doing a number of things. And once everything is at a nice level area, I'll be working on that in December. As for the blogs and newsletters for IGNUS, those will be pushed back to hopefully late October. I have quite a few that I've drafted that just needs a bit of polishing before publishing. And then finally, a little bit about the membership. So membership chasing compliance. If you are not aware, I have a membership for compliance professionals, helping to empower compliance professionals and giving you solutions, sometimes faster than it takes you to review a compliance manual. But with all of that said, the members I have in my membership are the best on the planet, the best. They have stuck with me, and I'm going to stick with them, and they are going to get the spoils of being members. If you want to join, the link is in the description. It is $49.99 a month, but that price is going to go up in 2024. Now, I created a showcase page on LinkedIn. I believe it was either late July, just before everything really popped off with me personally. And I got to do nothing with it. I'll be sprucing that up for the fall season so that it has a bit more content and it's a bit more clarity in terms of what's in the space and a little bit of a feature there. So I have some plans working on that. But members of Chasing Compliance always know that they have no worries when it comes to getting the inside scoop. They knew about what was going on with me. They know a bit more of the details in a post that I made with them last week. And they also have access to a lot of free stuff, like the past lives where I had the Done For You trainings. Some of those trainings are off of the platform, but they are forever free for members of Chasing Compliance. And they get permanent discounts on everything else. They get a minimum of 25% discount on everything. The discounts can go up to 35%. So it's per quarter. So the discounts move per quarter. So, the members who are in, they're happy. And I am always happy to hear from them. And anybody who's a member, I want you to be happy, because my thing is like, compliance is stressful enough. And when I have been in my day job as a regulator in the past, I know that I'm administering the test. I couldn't give you the answers. But the Chasing Compliance is where, some of the things you could get, some of the guidance that, or some, ask some of the questions you would want to ask to a regulator without fear of any sort of blowback in a safe space. And even if you're not, you don't have, I'm not your regulator, and I don't regulate right now. I don't know that I'll be regulating in the near future, but I have an array of people from different parts of the world. So I have people who are in fintech as well, because what I've found is that dev teams are working on building some of the most fabulous solutions for, say, digital payment systems and the rest, but they have questions as it relates to compliance. There's a space for them too, because I do speak a bit of fintech. And when I say a bit, I've worked with the Travel Rule Information Sharing Alliance. I've worked with DeFi platforms, and I've engaged with a number of different projects. When I had a very, very brief stint in a shadow where I was not working and on a leave of absence, I had a crypto exchange as a client who was seeking an application and who was seeking licensing in a particular jurisdiction. And so was engaging with them on those issues. You have questions, and I'm not saying that I know all of the regulation around the world, but I know regulation and international standards like the back of my hand. So if it is you have questions, and you feel that they could be punted in the membership, feel free to join. Now, what else is there to say? I think I've covered everything. I'm sweating a bit. I'm tired. I haven't curled my hair in a minute. It has been an interesting few weeks, and I will be posting different things in the coming days. So posts on the courses that are coming. I'll be posting polls mainly for persons for the next lives or for the membership. I'll also be launching a new mini course in the fall as well, with a special intro rate and providing more resources. So as promised, this was going to be short. I am looking forward to continuing the discussion as usual and sharing my passion for compliance. Beyond that, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn personally, or you can follow IGNUS Solutions Limited. Tonight's live is different. It was a lot different in comparison to my past lives, but I felt like it was necessary. If you've never seen a live before, this is not the usual live. It's typically focused on compliance and helping you to do something or learn something or see something from a new perspective in the world of compliance. I do believe that the information I provide can help almost any compliance professional. And especially in today's world, compliance is such a demanding space to be in. If this is your first time tuning in, thank you. If you're tuning in after the live, thank you. Consider subscribing if you have not subscribed. I promise you there is so much more in store, and I look forward to seeing all of you in my next live. Thank you so much, and I'll be back with another one. Good night, guys.